was in a town hall meeting, and I'd laid out my plans for investing $15 billion a year, energy-efficient cars, and a new electricity grid, and all this. Somebody said, well, what can I do? What can individuals do? So I told them something simple. I said, you know what? You could inflate your tires to the proper levels, and that if everybody in America inflated their tires to the proper level, we would actually probably save more oil than all the oil that we'd get from John McCain drilling right below his feet there, wherever it is that he was gonna drill. So now the Republicans are going around. This is the kind of thing they do. I don't understand it. They're going around, they're sending like little tire gauges, making fun of this idea as if this is Barack Obama's energy plan. Now, 2 points. One, they know they're lying about what my energy plan is, but the other thing is they're making fun of a step that every expert says would absolutely reduce our oil consumption by 3 to 4%. It's like these guys take pride in being ignorant. You know? I mean, they think it's funny that they're making fun of something that is actually true.
I think it's highly responsible or irresponsible for people who are running for the presidency and seek that office to suggest we may be willing unilaterally to invade a nation here that we're trying to get to be more cooperative with us in Afghanistan and elsewhere. I think it was wrong to say what he did in that matter.
I find it amusing that those who helped to authorize and engineer the biggest foreign policy disaster in our generation are now criticizing me for making sure that we are on the right battlefield and not the wrong battlefield in the war against terrorism. And Chris, respectfully, and you and I are close friends, but the fact is, you obviously didn't read my speech. Chris, if we have actionable intelligence on al-Qaeda operatives, including bin Laden, and President Musharraf cannot act, then we should. Now, I think that's just common sense. I don't know about you,
Senator,
but for us to authorize, the fact of the matter is that when we don't talk to the American people, we're debating the most important foreign policy issues that we face. And the American people have a right to know. It is not just Washington insiders that are part of the debate that has to take place with respect to how we're going to shift our foreign policy. This is a fundamental
I have to end this segment here because
when the war started, you said it was going to be quick and easy. You said we knew where the weapons of mass destruction were. You were wrong. You said that we were going to be greeted as liberators. You were wrong. You said that there was no history of violence between Shia and Sunni, and you were wrong. And so the question is,
Senator Obama was wrong about Iraq and the surge. He was wrong about Russia when they committed aggression against Georgia. And in his short career, he does not understand our national security challenges. We don't have time for on-the-job training, my friend.
Senator, Senator McCain in the last debate and today again suggested that I don't understand. It's true. There are some things I don't understand. I don't understand how we ended up invading a country that had nothing to do with 9/11, while Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda are setting up base camps and safe havens to train terrorists to attack us. That was Senator McCain's judgment, and it was the wrong judgment. When Senator McCain was cheerleading the president to go into Iraq, he suggested it was going to be quick and easy. We'd be greeted as liberators. That was the wrong judgment, and it's been costly to us.
So you're saying that this is a Republican problem and not one that you bear any responsibility for?
Well, Julie, give me an example of what I might do.
Just trying to clarify your
Well, no, but I'm trying to clarify the question. What I'm suggesting is I've put forward a plan that calls for serious spending cuts, serious entitlement reforms, goes right at the problem that is at the heart of our long-term deficit problem. So what more do you think I should do? Okay, I just want to clarify. Because if people have a
Super Tuesday, so I wonder if you might weigh in on some of your potential Republican opponents. Mitt Romney has criticized you on Iran and said hope is not a foreign policy. He also said that you are America's most feckless president. since Carter.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to Mr. Romney?
Good luck tonight.
No, really.
Really?
And in this election, all of you had the opportunity to choose between two fundamentally different visions of how you grow America. You know, on one side, you got Mr. Romney and his allies in Congress. You know, Mr. Romney is a patriotic American. He's got a beautiful family. He's been very successful in his life. But, no, he is. But
we have not made the progress we need to make to put people back to work. That's why I put out a 5-point plan.
And Governor Romney says he's got a 5-point plan. Governor Romney doesn't have a 5-point plan. He has a 1-point plan. And that plan is to make sure that folks at the top play by a different set of rules.
Our Navy is older, our Navy is smaller now than any time since 1917. Our Air Force is older and smaller than any time since it was founded in 1947.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military has changed. The rights of LGBT Americans is... Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, you know what? No. Hey, listen, you're in my house. And you don't start, come on.
You may have heard that Sarah Palin told me just last week that she could beat you if she ran. Could she?
You know, I don't speculate on what's going to happen 2 years from now.
Mr. President, you will not tell me that you think you could beat Sarah Palin.
What I'm saying is I don't think about Sarah Palin.
Okay.
Spent considerable time ridiculing your experience as a community organizer. I wonder what your reaction is to that, but also, how is community organizing relevant experience for the presidency?
This is very curious. So this is work I did 3 years ago. They haven't talked about the fact that I was a civil rights lawyer. They haven't talked about the fact that I taught constitutional law. They haven't talked about my work in the state legislature, the United States Senate. They're talking about the 3 years of work that I did right out of college, as if I'm making the leap from 2 or 3 years out of college into the presidency. So, look, I would argue that doing work in the community to try to create jobs, to bring people together, to rejuvenate communities that had fallen on hard times, to set up job training programs in areas that had been hard hit when the steel plants closed, that's relevant only in understanding where I'm coming from, who I believe in, who I'm fighting for, and why I'm in this race. And the question I have for them is, why would that kind of work be ridiculous? Who are they fighting for? What are they advocating for? Do they think that the lives of those folks who are struggling each and every day, that working with them to try to improve their lives is somehow not relevant to the presidency? I think maybe that's the problem. That's part of why they're out of touch and they don't get it, because they haven't spent much time working on behalf of those folks.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing?
Why would he do that?
He's a jackass. No, all this stuff.
That's what King said.
I'm assuming all this stuff. Where's the pool? Come on, guys. Cut the president some slack.
Speaking in Texas, McCain hit out at Obama for comments made in Tuesday's debate.
I have some news. Al-Qaeda is in Iraq. Al-Qaeda, it's called Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And my friends, they wouldn't, if we left, they wouldn't be establishing a base. They wouldn't be establishing a base. they'd be taking a country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen, my friends. I will not surrender. I will not surrender to al-Qaeda.
Well, first of all, I do know that al-Qaeda is in Iraq, and that's why I've said we should continue to strike al-Qaeda targets. But I have some news for John McCain, and that is that there was no such thing as al-Qaeda in Iraq until George Bush and John McCain decided to invade Iraq.
Can you imagine shifting a substantial number of to Afghanistan, where the Taliban has been gaining strength and Osama bin Laden is still at large?
I think that was Osama bin Laden.
If I did that, I'm so sorry.
No. This is part of the exercise that I've been going through over the last 15 months, which is why it's pretty impressive I'm still standing here.
Are you planning to initiate a lawsuit against the Obama administration and President Obama over his use of executive action?
I am.
Can you explain why that is necessary and what you hope to achieve?
You know, the Constitution makes it clear that a president's job is to faithfully execute the laws. In my view, the president has not faithfully executed the laws.
Assume, impeach him. Really? Really? For what? You're going to sue me for doing my job? Okay. I mean, think about that. You're going to use taxpayer money to sue me for doing my job while you don't do your job.
Sarah Palin, taking aim at your decision to restrict use of nuclear weapons, your pledge not to strike nations, non-nuclear nations, who abide by the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Here's what she said. She said, it's unbelievable. No other administration would do it. And then she likened it to kids on a playground. She said, you're like a kid who says, punch me in the face, and I'm not going to retaliate.
Yeah.
Your response?
I really have no response to that. The last I checked, Sarah Palin's not much of an expert on nuclear issues.
But the strain of criticism has been out there among other Republicans as well. They think you're restricting use of nuclear weapons too much.
And what I would say to them is that if the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff are comfortable with it, I'm probably going to take my advice from them and not from Sarah Palin.
Now, both of us during the campaign promised change in Washington. In fact, 8 times you said that negotiations on health care reform would be conducted with the C-SPAN cameras. I'm glad more than a year later that they are here. Unfortunately, this product was not produced in that fashion. So when my constituents and Americans now who overwhelmingly reject this proposal say go back to the beginning, they want us to go back to the beginning. They want us not to do this kind of legislating.
Let me just make this point, John, because we're not campaigning anymore. The election's over.
I'm reminded of that every day.
I know, Mr. President, that you have suggested strengthening oversight of insurance premium increases because we want to make sure that there aren't excessive insurance premium increases that take place. The problem is when you start to mandate all of the essential benefits, there are going to be some insurance premium increases. None of us really want to see them, but if you stop them, who's going to pay for it? Well, when
we could set up a system where food was probably cheaper than it is right now if we just eliminated meat inspectors. And we eliminated any regulations in terms of how food's distributed and how it's stored. I'll bet in terms of drug prices, we would definitely reduce prescription drug prices if we didn't have a drug administration that makes sure that we test the drugs so that they don't kill us. But we don't do that. We make some decisions to protect consumers in every aspect of our lives.
Anthony Scaramucci, who is familiar to some viewers of our network because he appears on CNBC as a hedge fund manager.
And I also went to law school with you with Brian Mathis.
It's great to see you.
Back in the day.
You've done very well.
Listen, I represent the Wall Street community. We have felt like a piñata. Maybe you don't feel like you're whacking us with a stick, but we certainly feel like we've been whacked with a stick. So,
I have been amused over the last couple of years, this sense of somehow me beating up on Wall Street. I think most folks on Main Street feel like they got beat up on. And there's a big chunk of the country that thinks that I have been too soft on Wall Street. That's probably the majority, not the minority. I mean, when I hear folks who say that somehow we're being too tough on Wall Street, but after a huge crisis, the top 25 hedge fund managers took home $1 billion in income that year. $1 billion. That's the average for the top 25. If you're making $1 billion a year after a very bad financial crisis where 8 million people lost their jobs and small businesses can't get loans, then I think that you shouldn't be feeling put upon. The question should be, how can we work with you to continue to grow the economy? But the notion that somehow me saying maybe you should be taxed more like your secretary when you're pulling home $1 billion or $100 million a year, I don't think is me being extremist or being anti-business. And that...
You okay, baby? Oh, no. Oh, she's just like,
yeah.
You better give her back.
Can I get a quick picture? I'm sorry.
Oh, you. Come on, baby. Come on.
There's the girl.
Come on.